In the quiet village of Ashgrove, where the moonlight barely touched the cobblestone streets, there were tales of a cat that dwelled in the shadows. The villagers called it the Whispering Cat, for it was said that those who encountered it would hear strange, unsettling whispers that drove them to madness. The legend of the Whispering Cat had been passed down for generations, a story that parents told their children to keep them from wandering the streets after dark. The cat was described as a ghostly creature, its fur as black as night, with eyes that glowed a haunting yellow. It appeared only to those who were alone, and once its whispers began, they were inescapable. One such person who had heard the tales was Emily, a young woman who had recently moved to Ashgrove. She was a writer, drawn to the village by its history and the eerie stories that surrounded it. Emily was fascinated by the legend of the Whispering Cat, and despite the warnings from the villagers, she was determined to uncover the truth behind the tale. One evening after finishing her work, Emily decided to take a walk through the village. The air was crisp and the streets were empty, save for the faint glow of lanterns in the distance. As she walked, the silence was only broken by the sound of her footsteps echoing off the stone walls. As she passed by the old church, she noticed a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye. Turning, she saw a dark figure slink into the shadows. It was a cat, its fur blending seamlessly with the night. For a moment, Emily's heart raced. She knew the stories and she wondered if this was the infamous Whispering Cat. But curiosity got the better of her, and she followed the cat as it weaved through the narrow alleys of the village. The further she went, the darker it became, until she found herself standing in a secluded courtyard, the only light coming from the pale moon above. The cat was there, sitting in the middle of the courtyard, its eyes glowing like two small lanterns in the darkness. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. As the cat's gaze met hers, the air around her seemed to grow colder, and the shadows stretched out, wrapping around her like a shroud. Then she heard it, a soft, almost inaudible whisper. At first she thought it was the wind, but as the whispers grew louder, she realized that the sound was coming from all around her. As if the shadows themselves were speaking, the whispers were unintelligible, a chorus of voices that filled her mind, growing more insistent with each passing moment. Emily's hands began to tremble, and she felt a rising panic as the whispers seemed to burrow into her thoughts, turning her own mind against her. She tried to shake off the feeling, telling herself that it was just her imagination, that the stories were nothing more than folklore. But the whispers wouldn't stop, and the cat continued to watch her, its yellow eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Desperate to escape, Emily turned and ran, her footsteps echoing in the empty streets. The whispers followed her, relentless, growing louder and more disorienting. She could hear snatches of words, phrases that made no sense, but they carried with them a weight of despair and dread.